Happy Wednesday. How you doing? Screen Time Continuum here with you. My name is Keelan, and I am here as always with the co-host, the best guy to do these things with because he lets me know things that I definitely missed when I was watching it. Nick, how you doing, brother?
Hey man, happy Wednesday to you. How are you?
Can't complain at all. It is a great Wednesday, actually, and it's not that strange, even though we are definitely about to cover some strange things.
Could you dare you say it could be stranger?
It could be stranger, but
Mm,
we have more time to figure that out.
all right, I'm down.
Yes, indeed. So, for those who didn't catch that, we're definitely here to cover Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 4, Number 4, the fourth edition, the fourth installation into your nightmares, if you've been keeping up.
But the
Um,
first part,
right, the first part of the fourth evaluation of your nightmares.
even
Can I
though it's like three-fourths of the whole season.
let's see what of nine? It's more than a third for sure. So yeah, I'll roll
Yeah.
with three-fourths. Um, yeah, that part throws me. But here
Mm.
we are, part one of season 4 of the Stranger Things saga. Now, the Duffer Brothers, in my opinion, have outdone themselves with this series. I don't know if they'll be able to do anything to follow this up. Clearly, season 4 is looks like we're coming to an end. I think I can say that. I could be wrong. We haven't gotten part 2 yet, so we don't really know how it's going to end. But the way a lot of these things are going, yeah, I think they've done a great job. A note that I think is worth making: a good portion of this movie was shot in Atlanta. All of the California scenes were shot in New Mexico, and or excuse me, of this season, and the Russia scenes were shot in Lithuania to give it that, I guess, European feel.
Mm.
And with that being said, I do want to note there were some really cool additions as far as the actors in this particular season. We get what's his name in Game of Thrones? The man of many
Oh,
faces, the faceless man.
yeah, Jack and Hagar.
Yeah, Jack and Hagar. We get him. His real name, I know it's Tom. I can't remember the rest, but I know it's Tom something. Good actor, good actor. Point of bringing him up is he's one of the notable guys that just kind of popped up like whoa. Freddy Krueger's in this. Robert England's in this season, and those are two big notables for me. As well as the lieutenant, who, in my opinion, was not as big. I'm sorry, not the lieutenant, the chief of police, who was not as large of a member of the storyline as I thought he would be. And I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but another notable actor that when you see his face, you're like, hey, that guy's in this. So I wanted to make sure I noted those things just off top. And I will be noting some other things as we go through about other actors, probably my first impressions. But before I get into my personal feelings about those things, that's just a little bit of a background on the season and the behind the scenes on the season. With that being said, Nick, what are your first impressions of the season itself? Or do you have any hidden gems that you discovered about season 4 before we jump into the weeds?
No, I don't think so. As far as Easter eggs or anything like that, a lot of references to movies that we see. Silence of the Lambs being one of them. The Amityville Horror being another one. Exorcism or Exorcist. We get a lot of those like throwback homages, which is kind of cool. But my first impressions were I think this is probably the best season so far of Stranger Things. I would say that it's in my opinion, it's better than season one. I
Nice.
like it. I like it more than season one. I like season one a lot. I think season two was eh. Season three was not that great, but this one really picked it up and is I think it just took everything that was great about season one and just kind of amped it up a little bit.
Mhm.
And I really like that. I like that the dynamics between the actors. I like the multiple story threads going on. I love the new villain. I love how brutal it is. You know, it feels darker, feels like a much darker
Oh yeah.
story than the last season. So yeah, overall first impressions were I'm very much looking forward to the last 2 episodes, and thankfully there's still one more season left.
I heard that as well, and I'm very curious to know what would be in that. I'm thinking it'd be an origin story more than anything else, but I appreciate that input, Nick. Definitely. Um, Something you just said, it made me remember how I view this season. I view this season like barbecue chicken off of a grill. Grilled chicken is amazing, right? Especially if it's done right, seasoned to perfection. It hits the flame a little bit. It's just amazing. But when you throw the right sauce on it, I'll pay you for it.
Mm.
And season 4 could have been, in my opinion, I'm right on par with you. It's the sauce. It's the thing that could have got the dollars out of my pocket to participate even further in this experiment called Stranger Things. And that in itself, I fully agree with you there. I enjoyed the music in this season. I enjoyed the acting, and that's where I think the sauce is. I feel like every single actor in this, um, the young and the older actors, it's like everybody hit another level with these characters. A very standout for me was Winona Ryder. And that's why she was not someone I named in the whole casting situation, because she's been there from day one. She's been Joycey, right? But Joycey. Uh, but we know Winona Ryder is a good actress, right? I feel like with Joyce Byers, what she's done and she's been doing, and I don't think I noticed it until now, is she has given us every single stage of an actor, every single stage of a parent or a mother or someone in the situations that she's in. And she's done it to such perfection where it's almost like, had she done nothing before, which it almost feels like at this point, do you remember anything she's done better than Stranger Things?
I mean, Beetlejuice, Girl
Oh, no, I
Interrupted.
know, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wait, but that was rhetorical. Yes,
Oh,
she
okay,
had
gotcha.
greater roles. I totally agree. But that's my point. Is this Joyce Byers is on par with the roles that made her that household name.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I
think Winona Ryder is definitely a big part of the show.
mhm,
But I don't know if she carries the emotional burden. I think that her character is finally settled in, which is nice.
mhm.
I think for like the first 3 seasons, she was just kind of reactionary to stuff, and it's nice to see her actually go on her own mission this time.
Right, and
Yeah.
that's more so what I mean is I didn't expect when they finally gave Joyce a storyline, really, like something to
Hmm.
kind of attach her to outside of the kids. I wasn't sure how that would go. And by the way this went, and then reflecting on how everything else went, it's like, hey, wait, hey, yo, Winona, you did that. Like, I got to give her credit on that, because it was getting to a point where Joyce, where it was like, is she necessary? And she
Hmm.
proved how necessary Joyce is in this season.
Yeah.
Um, I just think those are levels, like when you're able to play a role where you almost disappear a character, and then you're able to turn it around so fast and so well. I wanted to definitely note that. The music, I think I didn't say it, but the music in this season is another step above. I feel like either they got some new clearances, or they just have a better understanding of how to place it. I don't know. But
Mm.
selection and placement of the music in this season was also a huge credit for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I like the music. I think it was pretty decent. I think the Kate Bush is an anachronism, right? Because that's a new song that is being kind of used as a 80s song,
80
I
song.
believe,
Yeah,
because
I
it just
wasn't
came
quite
out like a year ago.
okay. I wasn't sure how
Yeah.
old that song was. I know when I looked it up, I was like, did a new rendition? I'm like, I'm so confused now.
Yeah, it
But
does sound like an 80s song, so it makes sense. But I mean, like I hear it on the radio. I hear it on the radio quite often, so I don't think
okay,
it's like just some 80s song. I think it's
okay.
pretty modern.
It could, yeah, and a lot of songs are being remade right now, and I think they could be playing on that. Another thing I think they did in this season was bring a lot of real world type situations. One is propaganda. I'll just leave that out there and we'll touch on it. But one is definitely propaganda, and the way
Yeah, and the
you definitely
Satanic
function.
Panic.
All of yeah, all of that, which
Mhm.
was a huge thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
I appreciate and this is still a part of my first impressions. I appreciate the Converse weapons drop um with Lucas in what was that episode 1 with the game. At first I was like, why did they do that? And then I remembered it was 1986, and that was the year that Larry Bird and Magic had the exact same shoes, and they put them out together and had a whole campaign. And it was like, if you're a basketball person, you know how big that was.
Mhm.
Um, and I
It's
thought
like
that
having
was
PF Flyers.
right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Mhm.
And it was that there was a couple of things, mentions of Ozzy Osbourne, and just all of the staples of pop culture at that time are very prevalent in this season.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna end my first impressions there. I feel like my first impressions have gone longer than they've ever gone before, which says a lot about how I feel.
Hmm. And so here's my question, and this isn't really a critique. This is something that I'm kind of confused by,
Mhm.
and I think this will, we can just jump in wherever at this point, once we're ready. But my question to you is, I feel like Vecna is supposed to be the ultimate villain, but in this they mention that he's just the general to the Mind Flayer. And I don't know if I like that so much because I feel like Vecna is a much more threatening
Then the Mind
villain.
Flayer.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that out in my head. But remember, that is Dusty's theory.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe. Maybe
I
he's not
wanna
right about that.
right. I do want to say, I don't. Well, what we're you know what?
We can jump around,
We
man. It's
can.
okay.
But what we didn't do something. I'm sorry, guys.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! If we have not already ruined anything for you,
We haven't.
um, I'm sure we have. Definitely do yourself a favor. Pause us now. Put this on save, watch for later. Go ahead and finish watching season 4, part 1 of Stranger Things, and then come right on back over here and participate in this listening excursion because we have plenty to say. For those of you who don't really mind or who have already seen episodes 1 through 7 of Stranger Things, which is part 1, stick right here with us because we have plenty to say. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and clear out if you're not already aware. Yeah, so the way I look at it is the whole Vecna story is the son of Freddy.
Mhm.
You get me? Okay, cool. I don't have to
Yeah.
go too deep on that.
Mm-mm.
Um, I, at first I was like, I like it, but it's a little off. And then I put that together, and I was like, oh, I see how you kind of wove those two things together with the nightmares and all of that.
Mhm.
Um, nice, very nice.
Right, especially with a Freddy Krueger in the season, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But I just mean to say that because I think that this is the most threatening villain we've had so far. I didn't think of the Mind Flayer as that threatening. It was more like a hive mind that was just trying to take over Hawkins, but there was no like bad guy to it. It was just this giant, spindly thing. Vecna is definitely terrifying. And this is what I love about this
yeah.
season is that this is a terrifying villain, and it's a psychological villain at that, one that can make you see illusions. And man, that's
Nothing better.
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, nothing better. Again, I think that's why we're both starting this episode, hitting on this being probably the best season. I feel like they took a lot of risk in this season, and they paid off.
Mhm.
They paid off heavily. And if you ask me, they might have run the risk this season of blowing the whole thing up had they not went as hard and as deep into the dark side as they chose to.
Mhm.
I also want to say, when we speak of the dark side, there were some lighting technicalities in this season that did not happen that I'm aware of in seasons 1 through 3 that I remember. But again, this is a much darker season.
Mhm.
But lighting, there was a few times where I was like, yo, somebody dropped the ball on lighting. Like, you just needed one more light maybe in that area. You missed
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of shadows.
it.
Yeah.
But understandably so, when you're trying to have that effect, it if it were done intentionally, it definitely got the mood across. The room was read properly for sure.
Mhm.
With that being said, just a heads up for those who are listening, for all of the listeners, so you can keep up with the discussion. We will have an open discussion, of course, as we always do. but we will be referencing at some point groups and how the groups move. Those groups are broken down into 4 groups. The groups are the California group, the Hawkins group, the Nina group, and the Russia group. For those of you who have seen 1 through 7, you were very aware of how those groups break down and why we will break them down that way. If you have not yet seen that, that's fine. And you're still here with us. Just be aware that as you watch this season, it will break down into groups and their different stories. Um, so yeah, moving on from that, Nick, at the very beginning, we open up and we see this is some things that I thought were very pivotal. We see Dr. Brenner in his morning routine. I wish I could finish a crossword puzzle in 60 seconds.
It's very quick.
That's
Yeah.
very quick for someone who now makes me wonder, does he have some type of a computing ability?
It's just, I guess, maybe very smart. But you can get egg timers that aren't for 60 seconds. So it's quite possible he gave himself like 15 minutes or something like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
that could be. Yeah, it could have been an hour timer versus a second
Mhm.
timer. You're right. Because I did see a 55 on there, which would more so insinuate an hour timer than a second timer.
Maybe.
Didn't think about that. That's a very good point. Um, so yeah, it's 1979 when we see that, and I enjoy great storytelling. And this season, from 1 through 7, tells one specific story. When you get to the end of 7, you realize that you really have just been watching one story. And I like how it starts by giving you what I would call Dr. Brenner's perspective of what would we call that day? Would we call that Doomsday?
I mean, I don't know. You could call it the day of revelation or something like that,
Okay,
because that's really what it is. It's as far as the
sure.
storytelling goes, is like that's the day that everything is really revealed as to what's going on. So,
Yeah.
but you only get a snapshot of that in the beginning,
All right.
you know.
Yeah. Here's a pun for you. We can call that day Door. Day of Revelation.
There you go.
Door. Which,
Yeah.
yeah. So right. Exactly. So we're gonna call that day the Day of Revelation. And on the Day of Revelation, we see Dr. Brenner's perspective. And Dr. Brenner's perspective leads us down a particular path that leads us to think we're not only going to get so much more on Elle, but we're going to find out that Elle all this time. So the season opens making us believe that Elle is the big bad.
Hmm.
And I thought that was genius
Yeah. I thought that
because,
they were going to go with that for a while.
oh, okay. So you've been expecting that to come.
Yeah, well, I was somewhat expecting it to come, but then obviously, opening the season with that scene, and then what happens in the next 2 episodes with her at school, it's like, bro, she about to do it again.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was sitting
Yeah,
here like, uh-oh, we have a Carrie situation on our hands.
yeah, seriously.
But for those who haven't seen it and are still here with us, we do not get a Carrie situation, but we do get a situation. Let's
Mhm.
just say what I do enjoy about Elle's progression. Um, I've always felt when someone who is non-violent goes violent, what's happening there is they're learning expression. It may not always be helpful. It may not always be in the form in which we would like to see it, but that expression can turn into a ball of good and bad. It's just about how it's handled.
Mm.
And um
I kind of like that Elle was on the back burner this season.
yeah,
Um,
very much
I
so.
I think that
With
she's.
this part.
I think, yeah. I mean, she's still the main character ish,
Hmm.
but found myself enjoying the Hawkins group much more than any of the other
Oh, they
storylines.
were fun. Yeah.
I mean, like that was the Stranger Things that I kind of missed from season 3. Um, that was done really well in season 1, but yeah, I found myself not really caring a whole lot about what Elle was going through. Um,
What?
up until like learning more about the Nina crew and all
Right.
that stuff. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna say Elle wasn't going through much until she gets to the with the Nina crew.
right.
Um. So what we see in that original Flash, I think once we get past this, we can break the groups off. What we see in that original Day of Reckoning, Day of what do we say? Door, the
Mhm.
Door Day. What we originally see in Door Day is what looks like Subject 6 and Dr. Ellis being dead, along with a bunch of other kids, and 10, who was in the room with Dr. Brenner. What we then see is a deranged looking Elle. What I noticed was behind Elle was a fizzer on the wall, which was not accentuated, but was never taken out of frame.
Mhm.
I thought that was very pivotal because I was like, what is that the gate behind her? Like, what is going on here? And then I thought, like, oh no, something just exploded and it's just, she shattered the wall behind it. And we move on from there. So what I think is crazy is we go from seeing that to now seeing 11, like you said, in high school. She's getting bullied throughout high school, and I'm not understanding why Will is not coming to her aid as a friend. Like you got
Will is a weirdo, bro.
Will is an extreme weirdo, but
Yeah,
he
but
has some definitely social issues.
do you
Uh,
think? No, like I got to ask you this because
no, yes,
I
yes,
think that yep. You think that that's where that's going?
yes. I don't
Okay,
know if
I did
Mike is
too.
there, but I do think that's where Will is.
Well, I think Will is it for Mike,
No, I think Will has it for Mike. I just don't know if
right?
Mike will meet him at the crossroads of that.
No, of course not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For those who didn't catch, sorry, we did that. I just realized what I said. Like,
It's just very heavily implied that Will might be carrying a secret about
yes,
himself that
about
is
his
not
affection
in
for Mike
any way related to the story so,
at all,
at all.
at all. And I'm gonna be very honest. At first, I wasn't sure, and then I realized he's not showing anybody that picture.
Right,
That picture is for Mike.
bro, I got Wedding Crasher vibes so bad
Oh
with like
God.
the the sun painting Vince Vaughn.
You. Now I gotta watch that movie. I missed that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that's what's going on with Will. If I'm being honest, if they're gonna go that route, I'd rather them just go that route and be blatant, not this auspicious,
yeah.
weird energy making you question
Well, they've
either,
definitely taken too long to reveal that.
which
It's
makes me think that's
seven
not the direction
episodes.
they're gonna go. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes me think that's not the direction they're gonna go, and it's gonna be more so he just still has those weird social cues from being stuck in the upside down for so long.
which makes me think they cut it out.
I think they went with it. I really think
Mhm.
that there was maybe an episode or a couple of scenes where we discover that Will has an affection for Mike. I'm not gonna go
Mhm.
and say he's gay per se, but he for sure has an affection for Mike specifically. And I think that when they put it into the final cut, it simply didn't work out, and they just took it
Yeah,
out, and they're gonna leave it as him just being awkward, awkward Will.
right.
Which I'm fine with him being awkward Will. I'm not fine with the
He
innuendo.
doesn't do anything in this show anymore, man.
Well, that's why I'm not fine with the innuendos. I feel like they wasted so much time trying to build that side of the character and then left it, and now Will's really not in the season.
yeah. He wasn't in the first season. He was kind of the main focus in the second season,
Yeah,
but he definitely wasn't in the third season.
yeah. So
So,
before we even go further, let's think about that. Season one, who was that about? Elle, right?
well, technically, it's about Will being lost in the Upside Down, but Will isn't very in the show very much. It's about the kids looking for him.
Okay,
It's mostly about Elle. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm thinking season two we know is about Will. Season three was more about Max.
Max
Oh,
and the
this season is
Russians.
about Max.
This season's definitely about Max. Last season was more about Elle and Mike together. Yeah,
Ah, you're right, and how they were tearing the group apart.
yeah, and the
You're right.
Russians.
You're right. All right, fine. That
Yeah.
I had to get that out the way because I was curious after you mentioned that. I'm like, that's a good question. Well, each season is about whom? This season is for sure about Max. That's not a
Yeah.
question.
Max and a little bit what's
Nancy and Steve.
no, not Nancy and Steve, but I also felt like it was, and I think that this is what's good too, is that we get a lot of focus on the characters in their own respects, because I think that shoot, what's his name?
Eddie, Lucas.
Lucas. I think Lucas has a character arc in this as well.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Oh, I
like he
love
has a
Lucas in this.
yeah. So like
Lucas is that voice of reason.
well, that and he wants to, like he goes through the like wanting to be a part of the cool kids and then realizing that his friends are much better and he doesn't want to hurt his friends. You
Yeah,
know,
that real human stuff right there, man.
right,
Oh, you want to be cool? Here, let me show you what this side of life is like. You don't like
right.
it, huh?
Not so fun, is it?
Right. Terrible people only look good from the outside. No, definitely. I liked the introduction of characters like Argyle.
Mhm.
I really like I wasn't quite sure on Argyle. I even was like, why is he here? And then I realized, like, oh, Argyle's the kind of friend Jonathan needs. Like a friend who, yeah, he's a little wacky, but he's gonna say the truth. Like he's speaking the real.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't know. Jonathan thing is like, so I guess the character, this is all alleged. So the actor who plays Jonathan is allegedly doing a lot of the drugs. And so it's possible that allegedly they wrote him as a stoner for that reason. Allegedly.
oh,
This is not confirmed and all speculation. So do not take that for anything.
ouch.
But
Yeah.
it was interesting. It's interesting that Jonathan becomes a stoner. It's like, why?
I didn't see it. I didn't
Doesn't
understand it except for the
seem
being in California
necessary.
part, which I took offense as offense. I
Yeah,
took
me
offense.
too. It's like, oh yeah, cool, weed, bro, awesome.
And they made the stoner so dumb. It was like, all
Yeah,
right, so he's from California and he has no common sense. Like,
he's
couldn't he at
like
least be a
Pauly Shore in the
smart
Goofy
stoner?
movie.
Yeah, it's like let's make him a smart stoner,
Yeah,
or because to me, it's a shot at Californians, which
of course.
it's not a bad shot at Californians. It's pretty good, but I don't know. I like the character though. I like the way he goes from being like kind of a ditz to as he really grows into the situation, you realize why he's important. He doesn't have all these hangups. He's not worried about all the this person feels it. Nah,
Yeah, he's the initiate. He's the guy that hasn't experienced it. Just like Bill, not Billy, who's the Eddie.
Eddie. Yep,
Yeah, like
Eddie.
you have the people they bring, the crew brings in, who's like, what the hell is going on? You guys are so cool with this. Why?
Well,
You know?
yeah, right. Why is it so chill? Like there's worse things than
Yeah,
ghosts.
burying a federal agent in the desert.
Mhm. Yeah, Argyle was not feeling that. You need to go do your thing, man. Purple palm tree special.
Yeah.
You're right, man. It's wearing off. Like nobody ever in the history of ever
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
or knew, oh, it's wearing off.
Yeah. The California storyline doesn't really pick up until they have to leave,
Yeah.
until they have to like go do their thing, because really it's about Elle getting bullied. And then her going ham. And I do like that the season does give you a moment to think about the fact that, like, oh, is Elle like a loose cannon that will just like destroy people,
Well, kind of.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. And I like it because, like, the opening scene is Elle, allegedly killing all those people. But, like the first few episodes really give you that feeling like, oh shit, she might snap. Like she might, if she gets her powers back, she might go kill
Yep.
people.
That's exactly what I was waiting for. I was like, oh, she gonna get mad and tap in and crack, 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 crack. Oh,
Right.
phones are breaking.
Right.
Um, Speaking of which, another thing before we get into the groups. So I did not care for once we were introduced to the military and all of that, the assumption that Elle is this creator of the issues. Like
Yeah.
she is
That felt a little contrived.
yeah. Like the government just hates Elle. Like, ah, bruh, anything you don't understand,
Although,
huh?
well, first of all, my primary issue is that man's name is Colonel Sanders. Um, my other issue,
Saunders, but yeah.
Saunders, yeah. My other issue is that they're kind of right. Elle is the problem.
No,
She
they're
is
not
the
they're
one
not
that
wrong.
opened. She's the one that opened the dimensional
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
So
They're not wrong, but their approach on it is kind of like, hey, 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 hey.
yeah, they feel like they know everything. They're like the people who are like, yeah, I got this all figured out. When you're like, oh, dude, we've been watching this whole time. You don't have this figured
You
out.
don't know what's going on. But as I like to say on a regular basis, what the hell is going on? So from there, again, we can break off, I believe, into our groups. We've gotten to the point we realize that everybody has split up. Elle is being picked on in school. Joyce has all the other kids. She gets a package and she calls Murray. That
Mm-hmm.
package comes from Russia.
Russia, yeah.
Um,
And it says that Hopper is alive, right?
yes, there is a note that is written as if it is ransom letter. It is ransom letter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and essentially get 40K, send that, bring that, and we bring you Hop. Um,
Mm.
we'll get to how that plays out.
I'm
But
glad
that
they
is,
brought Murray back too.
I
I
am
think that.
glad they brought Murray back. I like how Murray's character evolved as well. Murray's character
Mm-hmm.
was very fun in this so far.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, from there, um, hey, after she's been picked on and she doesn't like the other kids and she wants to beat them up and well actually we had to meet Eddie first, and Eddie is a different kind of outcast.
Yeah, he's like a freak,
Yeah,
freaks and geeks,
he but even in the Freaks and Geeks he fits. I can't remember that character, but he reminds me of a specific character from Freaks and Geeks. Exactly, I can't even remember it, and I used to watch that show. But the James
Oh,
Franco
Seth
character,
Rogen or James Franco, yeah.
James Franco character, he
Yeah.
reminds me of him, where it's like he doesn't really fit, but everybody kind of knows he's cool, but nobody really wants
It's the
to
bad
listen.
boy with the heart of gold, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody wants to be his friend somehow, but nobody really. It's weird, but
You're like Heath Ledger and 10 Things I Hate About You. That's what he reminded me of a lot.
I don't think I've seen 10 Things I Hate About You. Is
Oh,
that
that's
Sarah
a good
Michelle
one.
Gellar?
No, it's Heath Ledger and what's that chick's name? Julia Stiles.
No, yeah, didn't see that
Yeah.
one. Whoa, yeah, I didn't know they did a movie together.
Joseph
No, no, you
Gordon-Levitt.
know what? Maybe I did. You know what? It's some things from the past that I see like covers of movies, and I'm like, oh, I think I did see that one night.
It's an old early 2000s one.
Up on Stars or something.
Yeah. But he did also give a little bit of like Robert Downey Jr. vibes too, which is kind of cool.
Mhm. No, I think he did a great job. The Eddie, the actor who played Eddie. But we get introduced to Eddie, and what I really enjoyed about his character was the tone it set for not just who Eddie is, but for who Eddie wants people to think he is. And we've all been to high school already, so we kind of had a good understanding of what that was. And the template, the staple it put between him and Jason immediately. Like we knew the moment we met Eddie and the moment we met Jason, we knew who these two characters were, and it was never a mistake that they were definitely going to be enemies. And the Jason character. So I guess we do have 5 groups when we consider the basketball boys, but that's short-lived.
Yeah, they're ancillary.
Yeah. Annoying as hell, but not really. I can't say they weren't necessary to the storyline. They're necessary to the storyline, but oh man, every time they popped up on screen, I'm like, these grown men are back.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to push the gas a little bit because we're 30 minutes in. We haven't even gotten into the show.
They understand what's going on. And Elle's in California. She's being picked on, and we actually just rounded out with all the characters, so they're good. Hey guys, you good? Also,
hopefully.
All right, so
who knows?
So from there we get to the California group actually let's start with the Nina group. So the Nina group is again Elle, Dr. Brennan, and Dr. Owens. Dr. Brennan comes in right at the end. Originally, the Nina group is just Dr. Owens and Elle, where Dr. Owens is brung in by accosted pretty much by the military looking for Elle. And he's decided to go and get Elle, take her to this facility that he's been building to try to help her regain her powers. And he does that with the help of Dr. Brennan. It's not an easy discussion at first. At first, she doesn't want to go with Owens, and she does, and then she finds out Brennan's there, and she's just like, "Nah, I'm out."
Not having it.
She turns into a track star, and that is unsuccessful.
Yes.
She turned into a track star a few times
in a nuclear silo underground, like she was about to get out of there.
She didn't know any better.
No, I know.
How would she know?
Right.
So that's where we get with the Nina group.
I think that's probably the most interesting part of Elle's storyline for sure so far.
Which is that?
Just her being back at the facility and having to go through her memories and all of that stuff. I think that's probably the best we see from Elle. I'm almost not even really wanting her to go back to the Hawkins group anymore. Like I don't want her to be the thing that fights the bad guy again. I really kind of like that most of this season was the Scooby-Dooing. It's the
Right.
kids that are trying to solve the mystery. Like I really like that. The whole thing with the music, which we'll get to, but like that was cool that they figured that out on their own. They didn't need Elle for that. So I
Did
do
it
kind
home.
of enjoy that Elle is kind of sequestered to her own thing that isn't really affecting the whole storyline.
Right. I mean, there were a few things similar to that, in my opinion. Even Erica,
Mm-hmm.
Lucas's little sister, she was a pivotal part of episode one and how that all went, but she really wasn't in the rest of the episodes until like
Towards the
episode
end.
six. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in my opinion, she's more comedy relief at that point. She really still hasn't made a staple, even though she is now clearly a part of the group. So I'm assuming in season five she'll be a part of that. So from there we go into oh, we did not cover Chrissy's death before the groups are created.
Well,
So
that's yeah.
yeah, sorry.
We got to get to it anyways, but that's kind of just the impetus for the whole Hawkins group, right? So like that's how
Yeah,
we get introduced to what's going on with Hawkins.
correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the Nina group again is just Elle goes with Dr. Owens, finds out that Dr. Owens and Dr. Brennan are working together, but this also is not the first time she's lost her powers.
Right.
So there is hope. But there's much more to that, plenty of flashbacks, and we'll dive through that a little bit more. From there, let's go to the Hawkins group, as Nick was saying. The very first thing that really initiates the Hawkins group is Max is Eddie Munson's neighbor, and Eddie Munson is the local freak slash drug dealer, and the popular cheerleader goes with him to his home to get. First, she went to buy weed from him, and that wasn't strong enough. So now she's going to get some Special K,
Mm-hmm.
and she is possessed and killed on his ceiling. He takes off running. Now he's hiding for his life. Um, and Max saw that. Well, she didn't see the whole thing, but once she finds out that she's dead, she starts putting some things together.
She saw them go into the trailer together. Yeah.
Right. She saw him going into the trailer, but I mean, as far as the rest of the storyline, she starts putting
Right.
some identifying factors together.
Yeah.
But what's more interesting to me, of course, somebody has to put this stuff together, right? In the groups. Max is his neighbor, so I figured Max would figure something out fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way that the basketball group at that point decided we're going to be an angry mob, and it was allowed.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and we can go into the multiple times that it was elevated and escalated and just kept going up and up and up, and then they lose a member and then something more happens. But
I think it contributes to the fact that like the whole theme for Hawkins as a town right now is that the town thinks it's cursed,
right.
and so bad shit just keeps happening. And with Chrissy's death, and especially how gruesome it is, which shout outs to Vecna for killing people the most gruesome way.
That's right.
But with how gruesome it is, people are just starting to lose it. They're like, "What in the hell is going on?" This is, like a dozen people have died in the past couple of years, from gruesome murders. So yeah, I think like the whole angry mob thing was kind of a little bit contrived, but it makes sense. Like if you're, like you got 3 policemen in the whole town and people keep dying.
Right.
I guess you want to take the law in your own hands, but they were douchey about it anyway. So.
Ultra. But they were trying to, you definitely were right. They were trying to take the law into their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hawkins group hears about Chrissy's death. They haven't really put it all together yet, but Max goes to tell Dustin what's going on. And slowly but surely, of course, they figure out like that sounds like the lights were flickering. Oh no, you can't think that we're not doing this again. But yes,
I like that anybody has to be like convinced that it was the upside down again. It's like, dude, you guys know what it is.
Exactly what it is. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
If you
back.
go over to right, if you where's Archie and them at? Where does Archie? Archie in Archie Comics. What's the name of their town?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, come on, bud. I know it's next door to
because I don't chew bazooka
Riverdale. You don't, yeah. But Riverdale, that's like going to Riverdale and thinking you won't be accosted by monsters or something. No, buddy, you will. That's
Mm-hmm.
literally what's in Riverdale. Um, yeah, I don't watch the shows, but I'm aware of Archie comics and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But so the Hawkins group, they're slowly coming together. Max goes to tell Dustin what's going on. You slowly but surely see everything else going on, but it's not until the um the other death happens of Patrick.
Fred.
No,
Patrick?
Fred, you're right. No, right,
Fred.
right. Fred. Before
Mm,
Patrick, it was Fred. I was like, what was the
yeah.
second death? It's not until Fred dies that everybody kind of all of a sudden snaps to the same page and understands. Oh, we were kind of looking for the same thing. You guys were looking for. Ah, shit. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Like, all right, it's back to us. Um, and from that, I'll pause there and go to what I believe is where the California group becomes pivotal because they're basically being held captive,
Yeah.
and at some point they had to make the decision of we can't be held captive. Ironically, a firing squad is on their way to kill them, which what?
Perfect timing, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
now those are the kind of things where I'm like, great for cinematography, bad for storyline.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the California crew is the weakest story out of all of them.
Goodbye. I agree.
It's
The,
really, yeah.
the funnest part for the California group, there are a few other things for them, but for sure the funnest thing is when they go to see Susie.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was interesting seeing Susie's life. Susie's life is more interesting than their entire road trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they don't get up to a whole lot. So and they were supposed to be going to Hawkins, but they just decided to go to Utah, and then maybe they'll go to Hawkins. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Now to be very clear for those who did not watch and are still here listening with us, the reason that Mike is with the California group, which is now where we're at, the California group, Elle is with the Nina group officially. She has been called in after they seen the mutilate. The military has seen the mutilation of Chrissy. They immediately went over to Owens because they think that Elle did it. But immediately, Mike had flown on a plane and he went to see them over in California, and that's how he ended up with the California group, and he is not with the Hawkins group. Um, but I'm not quite sure it's not much to say about the California group.
There's
Um,
nothing else.
Argyle is cool.
Yeah.
They go and meet with Susie. Uh, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they get a hold of the phone number and they hack into the computer and they find out where the Nina thing is. So they
Yeah.
were going to originally go to Hawkins, but now they're going to, I guess, go to
Nevada.
Nina, Nevada. Yeah.
Yeah. So now they're driving from Utah to Nevada, which is I'm sure a much shorter drive than Hawkins. Where is Hawkins? Hawkins is in
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay, maybe it's probably
Mhm.
the same distance.
It's
They're
still a
all
little bit
Midwest.
farther, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So yeah, the California group's got the weakest sort of storyline, but it's all the kind of the B-list characters anyways. I mean, Mike isn't really a lead character. I find
Apparently,
him
this is
kind of
Will.
annoying, to be honest. So is Will. Yeah, Will and Mike just aren't it.
Mhm.
Which I feel bad about, but it's, like everybody loves Dustin and Steve, so
Dustin, Steve, look, Eddie.
you got all the
Eddie's pretty
good
cool.
characters in Hawkins. You got Lucas, you got Eddie, you got Dustin, you got Steve,
Yo, can we
Nancy,
credit
Max.
Lucas's flat top though? That thing was on
It's very
point.
tall. It's very tall. I mean, he is on the
Very,
basketball team, so he needs to get a
yeah,
little bit,
a
some
little
extra
taller.
inches. Yeah.
That was very kid and play. Look, very kid and play. They didn't over accentuate on the slang either, and I appreciated that
No, no,
because sometimes
no
that can
need
be
for that.
overdone.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. So
I mean, to his credit, he is in a small town in Indiana. So
this is true. This is true. So I have to just get to this. Let's just get to it, man.
Hmm.
This is Hop's dead.
Hopper?
Hop's dead. I'm calling bullshit.
But you think he's dead
He
because
should
he's in
be.
Russia? Oh, you think he should be dead? Yeah. I think they kind of did a little bit of a, gotcha on the ending of
Mhm.
season 3. But the problem is that David Harbour's he's such a popular character. They weren't going to kill him off.
No,
I
I
mean,
didn't understand why they made me cry.
yeah. Well, I mean, the Russia stuff is a little bit weak too, but it does make up with it with Enzo and Hopper
Cops
together.
surviving. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
them their dynamic is cool.
right. I was gonna say that I like those two on screen as actors. They do really well together.
Hmm.
Um, I liked a lot of the Russia scenes. It's weird to say. I think the Demogorgon was the weakest part of the Russia scene or the
Mm.
Russia storyline. It just I would have rather just been afraid of the Demogorgon coming and then never having to deal with it. It's a Demogorgon. Really?
I mean, it fucked everybody up except for Hop and Enzo. So
That's my point.
yeah,
How really?
yeah,
How you two surviving? Maybe one, but one of y'all gotta die. Lose a limb,
yeah,
something.
yeah. I think the
Still
fire
worth it.
thing was smart though, because like
Flame wasn't big enough. It
it
wouldn't have scared
wasn't.
me.
No, no, but they don't like the heat. That's because the Mind Flayer hates heat.
Mm,
So Demogorgons will automatically also hate
run
heat.
away from the
So
heat. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I kind of like the Demogorgon thing. I thought it was very like kind of hokey to have like the evil Russians with their gulag, that has a monster they feed people to. Like that's kind of funny.
The Demogorgon gulag.
Yeah, the Demogorgon gulag. So I enjoyed the Russia stuff. I think it's great that like uh, what the hell is her name?
Joyce?
Joyce and
Right.
Murray get to sort of rescue Hopper out of
Yeah.
that situation.
Versus
Because
typically it would be Hop going to rescue one of them.
right. And he says something nice while he's in the prison too. Is like when Elle and Joyce came into his life, it was like he thought they needed him, but it was him that needed them.
Hmm.
And so it's nice to see them come to his rescue at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was great. Um, so yeah, but the way the Russia thing plays out, I know I just went straight from California, slight on Hawkins to Russia, but there's so much on Hawkins. Hawkins is
There's more in Hawkins than anything
yeah.
else. Yeah.
I again the fun comediness of the Russia scenes or the Lithuania scenes, but of
Mm,
the Russia scenes, the fighting, the the usage of the land of the set. For instance, the scene where Hawk no not Hawk, Hopper he breaks the sledge or the what
mm,
would that be a sledgehammer? What would that be called?
mm-hmm.
That is a
Sledgehammer.
sledgehammer.
Yeah.
He breaks the handle, which I'm like, yo, like
Mm,
he got that Russian strength all of a sudden.
right.
Um, Goes, beats the one guy, handles the other guy, does the shooting. Everybody hears it, blows up the barn. It's like the usage of everything along the way in that scene was just skillful,
Mm.
just skillful. In my opinion, from what I saw, I thought it was pleasant to watch.
Yeah, I
And
got a little bit worried when they built up to the Great Escape, and then they were like, "Nope, sorry, he didn't escape." I was like, "Oh, what the fuck are they going to do now?" That's why I was like, "Oh, the Demogorgon thing is good because that adds a different element to it." Because
uh,
it's like he was going to escape, and then they were like, "Nope, there's no escape from here, bro."
go to American, don't run. You don't
Yeah,
listen.
right.
But no, I think there were a lot of moments that were like, huh? Like
Mm,
that's not what TV tells me you were about to do.
right.
You know,
Hey, can you vamp for just a minute? I'm
go
so
for it.
sorry. I just have to answer this. Just
Go for it.
give me 1 sec.
So one of the moments where I felt like they really dove in and they really allowed things to play out. They wanted it to feel like you were gonna lose a character or there was gonna be a change in the arc. One of those big moments for me was with Max. I thought Max, I'm gonna say with that voice, I thought Max was gone. I thought Max was going to be a done deal. I thought Hopper, when he got taken back to the prison, I did not think that Hopper was going to be able to survive. I thought they were going to kill him on instinct. The way that they made Hopper into this very resilient, hulking kind of a character, someone that has something to live for. It's like the entire time Hopper was there, he had something to live for. And then all of a sudden, he got caught. And once he got caught, he had nothing to live for. So, once he had nothing to live for, there's like you knew he was gonna die, or at least that's what you thought. Everything about Hopper from that point, it was Hopper's gonna die. Hopper is gonna give up. If he has to face this Demogorgon, he's gonna give up. Even the fellas down there in the gulag with him thought he was gonna die because he wasn't eating. So they assumed he didn't care. And Anatov or Enzo was telling them, like, oh yeah, he's lost his will to live. He didn't lose his will to live, not even a little bit. He fully understood the situation he was in. They knew nothing. So once he explained to them that he knew what a Demogorgon was, and later explains to Enzo that he had gotten fuel, he had gotten something to light the fuel, and he had an actual weapon, because the only thing that scares the Demogorgon, as Nick was saying a minute ago, is heat. So he made fire. Um, I enjoyed the way that they were consistent, not in just Hopper. Not there was a point with Nancy where I was like, oh, Nancy's not gonna make it. There was a point with Eddie where I was like, oh shoot, they got Eddie. Eddie's done. And mind you, I'm already telling you guys some stuff about the Hawkins group. I haven't even gotten to the Hawkins group. But the point I'm making is they were very consistent with wanting to dangle the end of a character or some finality to things in front of you. And what is getting so close to the end, as I said at the top of this, there were a lot of moments in this season that made me feel like, all right, this is over. Like, we're done. We're getting to the end. That didn't happen. We didn't get to the end as often as I thought we would, but they let us know that this story will not be forever. I think that was a very big pivotal part in season 4, was to let us know that this story will not last forever. Eventually we will get to an end. So you got a lot of glimpses that would make you prepare to lose a character or to lose a storyline or to change a storyline. And that was done brilliantly in this season. Welcome back, Nick. Would you agree with that? That there were a lot of moments that made you feel like there was going to be some finality, and then they continued outside of just the Hopper moment. I know I mentioned a minute ago the Max moment where we thought Max was a goner. Um, I know there
Sorry.
was
Yeah.
also the moment with Nancy as well.
Right. Well, that's at the very end, but yeah, I would say, and it's really funny, but I thought episode 4 seemed like where they should have split this.
Hmm.
That should have been part 1,
I agree.
and then everything after should have been part 2, because episode 4 was such a cliffhanger. It was such a cliffhanger, and I thought it was done so well. And as somebody who never liked Max, I think that this season does a great job about bringing a little bit of color to her character.
Wait, you said you didn't like Max's character?
I didn't really care for her all that much. But
Okay.
in this season, I like her a lot. I think
Okay.
I think her storyline is fantastic in this season. So I think they did a really good job about writing a better story for her, in my opinion.
Nice.
But yeah, episode 4 feels like, because that's when Hop gets recaptured. That's when Max almost gets Vecna'd. So yeah, I mean, like, that was such a crazy cliffhanger, and I love that scene. I love that scene where she's trying to fight back, and you got the song playing and she's trying to run out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Like,
pretty good.
very, very suspenseful.
Very, very well done. Again, didn't know. Excuse me, didn't know if she would
I
make it
kind
out.
of I kind of thought they were gonna go there, man. I thought they were gonna kill her. I was like, dude,
Hmm.
like, let's go, man.
Time to do this.
Let's
Time to.
go. Yeah.
Somebody's gotta go.
Somebody's got to go. I mean,
Uh,
like, I don't want to see her go, but man, that would be devastating.
yeah, but that's exactly what I meant when I think they did that a few different times. They continue to give us that little wince of you're not gonna get what you're looking for here. And
I
what
wouldn't
I
be
did.
surprised if we don't see a pretty big death in the in the second part.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna see a few. In fact,
Mm.
uh, so we've covered pretty much the California group. We don't really need to cover all of the excess of what happened with Will and Elle and boyfriend girlfriend stuff. They'll get through it.
Mm.
There again, we touched on the Will and Mike discussions. I am glad that they seemed like they worked it out in their situation to be friends again and
Yeah.
really communicate as friends. I think Will needs to communicate a little better, maybe.
Yes.
But overall, I think that's the base of that. And Elle does get arrested, guys. Elle does get arrested. You're not joke. You're not tripping when you see that in the previews. Elle gets arrested. But of course, that's handled by Dr. Owens, so there's nothing really much for you to know about there. And
I
that's
feel
why
like
we
we
don't.
keep saying this.
Yeah,
Isn't Elle already?
maybe there's a little more to worry about there than we're
Yeah.
we're leading on, huh?
Yeah, no,
Um,
but I'm just saying, like, Elle's already with them. Like, yeah, she got arrested because of that stupid
the
what's her
Rinka
name?
Ring
Yeah,
or
Rinko
Angela.
Mania or whatever.
Yeah, Rinkomania, because she popped Angela with a clay skate
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the face.
I
Hey, yo,
know.
Angela got a strong face. I couldn't have taken no clay skate to the face like that.
Yeah, and she took it like a champ, that's for sure.
Man,
But yeah, let's get in this mystery, the Vecna
Hawkins.
mystery.
Right,
I
and
mean,
that's
because that's
where
really the core of this.
that's this whole season.
Yeah.
So the Hawkins group is doing their investigations. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and along the way, of course, Dustin puts some things together. What he puts together is they are dealing with a spellcaster. That spellcaster, they believe his name is Vecna. Vecna kills you with psychic abilities. He infiltrates your mind, your memories, your nightmares. Very Freddy Krueger esque,
Hmm.
and he wipes you out. The difference between he and Freddy is he can put you into a trance, essentially making you sleep and wipe you out in your brain. However, that is not the case for Freddy. Freddy just, nightmares. You already, if you don't go to sleep, you're pretty safe around Freddy.
Hmm.
That's not the case with Vecna.
No.
That is not the case with Vecna.
No, and I like that too because he becomes a sort of like a virus,
Hmm.
like where people can catch him, and all you have to have is like a certain level of trauma in
Yep.
your past.
Just a little human.
Hmm.
Just be a weak human, as he
Yeah.
says later. And so the police are convinced that Eddie's done it. Jason is convinced that Eddie's done it. But Dustin and the Hellfire Club are not. Well, Dustin is not convinced. The rest of the Hellfire Club, I can't speak for. Dustin is not convinced that Eddie has done it. And
Hmm.
because Dustin is not convinced that Eddie has done it, none of the other crew is convinced that Eddie has done it. And they jump in. They are going on now a mission to discover who, what, and where Vecna is. Is there a gate? And how to get to Vecna. Um, I like how Vecna kills, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It's very silent, but it's very intentional.
Yeah, I love the
And
clock and the
yeah.
creepy sort of with chiming sound that it makes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a little more background into the clock and all of that in the trance state, but we'll get to that as we get a little bit closer and past Victor Creel. Um, so the Hawkins group is there, and they have discovered that Vecna is in the upside down, and they now need to get to him to kill him. And Joyce has gone to Alaska. Why did she go to Alaska? We already told you about Hop and where he is. And there's a guy, Enzo, who's a guard who was going to break him out. And that didn't really go so well. They got set up, and now they're all being held up in Russia. And luckily, when that Demogorgon stuff happens, by then Murray has already figured something out. And that is that he and Yuri kind of look alike. And so they use that to their advantage. We don't really know if they escape yet, do we?
Not yet.
Yeah, we don't know if they escape. But
Mhm.
the Hawkins group, while they're going through that, we also see Vecna traversing Hawkins like it's the fucking multiverse.
Like he's in Cerebro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, you know what? Actually, it looked more like Cerebro than the multiverse. You're right.
Yeah, because he had to connect to it. Like he was connecting his whole body to
Yeah. You're. Oh wow. Wow. Didn't even catch that one. Absolutely. Good eye, my guy.
it.
Um. Sorry, I just realized I flipped the wrong page. My notes are way back to Elle getting arrested.
Oh boy. Did we
So
mention she got arrested?
yeah, we mentioned she got arrested. So Nancy goes and she speaks to Eddie. So everybody in the town now believes that Eddie's a devil worshiper and he murdered Chrissy.
Mhm.
The Hawkins group, which again Nancy is a part of, Nancy goes and she investigates with Fred and they ask Eddie's uncle some questions. That is how Nancy learns about Victor Creel.
Mhm.
After Fred is dead, Fred is dead. That's a song.
Drop
Sorry.
Dead Fred.
um. Well, sorry. The sorry, old
Are you having a
black
meltdown, man?
exploitation. No.
Okay.
I was trying to get Fred is Dead out of my head. I want to say that's like the Superfly theme
Hmm,
by Curtis Mayfield, and I'm trying to get it out of my head now.
hmm.
Um, Multiverse. Down past that, I am on Victor
S-
Krill. Got it.
Yeah. Mhm.
So his uncle tells Nancy about Victor Krill, and from there we fast forward. She and Robin team up basically, and they start doing this hunt down of information, and they discover that Victor Krill had murdered his family, or according to the sources, Victor Krill murdered his family in 1959.
Mhm.
Victor Krill is an insane asylum. They go see Victor Krill, and he tells his story. He tells a story of himself, his daughter, whose name floats me at the moment. Um, but story of himself, his daughter, his wife, and his son, and them moving into a nice big old house, and only for a month having peace before dead animals start turning up, and eventually his entire family is killed. His son slipping into a coma and dying a week later. What we discover is that Victor Krill's home, when you go to it in real life, or excuse me, what the group discovers, Victor Krill's home, when you go to it in real life, it is still there. It is still standing. And not only is it standing, there is a huge surge of energy that travels through it. And that surge of energy seems to be Vecna in the Upside Down. Um, how did you feel about that reveal?
Well, I mean, the not the final reveal,
No,
but
not the final
yeah.
reveal. The reveal of
Uh,
because I assumed at this point that the home had been burnt down, destroyed, something, but it was still just standing there, but
Yeah, I
abandoned.
believe it. I mean, like, it was very much Amity Horrorville. I mean, like, I
Okay,
think
for
they
sure.
even modeled the house right after the
Oh,
movie,
I
Amity
firmly agree
Horror.
with that.
Yeah, Amity
Either that
Horror.
or Haunted House, House on Haunted
House
Hill.
on Haunted Hill, yeah, for sure. So it definitely had that vibe to it, and so I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," because you think about like this ancient evil that's haunting this family, and maybe something's going on with the house that's brought this evil in. We don't know,
Mhm.
and so yeah, having him sort of affirm to them that this is what's happened and it happened to him, and yeah, I thought that was very cool, very horror movie esque, and of
Right.
course it's the exact same setup as Silence of the Lambs. When they go to visit Hannibal Lecter, it's almost the exact same. It's just that Hannibal Lecter has bulletproof glass, and
That's why that was so familiar to me.
it's almost exactly the same.
You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Except they don't use the chairs, which is where she starts in the chairs and then she moves closer to the
right.
bars and actually gets up on the bars, which is what I was waiting for him to do, Victor to do. That's when he runs up on the glass and startles the shit out of her.
Hmm.
But Victor never does that. And I think that was a great play on that. I like how you bring that up too. I think that was a great play on that because people who have seen those levels of movies, seen Silence of the Lambs and things, we were waiting for the run up and scare them while they're leaning against the bars, but that's not who Victor is. He's not the person that they are saying he is.
Right.
Um, and I thought that was a great way to play on the familiar and throw in a little different twist. You
Hmm.
know, like because
Yeah.
because anybody I know that has watched Silence of the Lambs or any movie really was definitely sitting around waiting for the big scare to come in.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so I think it's a good enough mystery to keep things unraveling. And I think that the Hawkins group really does that well, where they're unraveling the mystery, and you're kind of unraveling it with them. So I think that that's why they're kind of the strongest storyline in the whole story, because they're the ones uncovering the mystery.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so it was cool for them to put that together with Vecna. And what did they decide to do? Oh, that's when they figure out the whole how
That
what
has to be another gate.
how what's his name? Creel?
Krill. Yeah, Victor
Creel.
Krill.
Yeah, how he was able to escape. How he was able
Right.
to escape the illusion. And
And I
it's
like how he
because
explains that.
yeah, it's because they had Ella Fitzgerald in the background. And he could hear
Dream.
the music, and so
Mhm.
he was able to bring himself out of the illusion through the music that was playing in the real world.
Right. And the song, I just had it written down.
Dream
It's
a
Ella
little dream
Fitzgerald
of
Dream.
me.
Yeah. Dream a Little
Hmm.
Dream of Me. Um, I thought that was actually very pivotal because that song is beautiful. And with him saying, the voice of an angel.
Mhm.
Ella Fitzgerald fits into that category.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
I
it's also
think,
creepy because it's Dream a Little Dream of Me, and you're talking about Vecna. Yeah.
and that's the part I was gonna say is it's the irony of the song for me that made it perfect.
Mhm.
Is it's an angel's voice singing about like you literally just said it, dreaming,
Mhm.
and it's an entire season about nightmares and mind infiltration.
Right.
Which uh, sidebar, apparently the Stranger Things series is kind of got gilded around the Montauk experiments.
Yes. Yep.
Didn't really gather that until I was watching this season for whatever it never really
Yeah.
jumped out to me.
Well, yeah, the
And then
Montauk experiments are pretty there's very little information about it, but yes, they're absolutely inspired by the Montauk experiments. Yeah.
nuts, nuts. And honestly, it's something about constantly seeing the lab and constantly seeing the lab, and it was like, why have I heard this? Like it just felt like a familiar story, and it didn't feel
Mhm.
like Stranger Things was the story. And then I
Right.
realized, oh, it's the Montauk experiments, which
Mhm.
I'm not talking about that.
Mhm.
Sidebar, shameless plug. Do you guys have a Montauk episode on Exofathom?
Not particularly because it's very difficult. There's only like one book that talks about it, and the guy that wrote it was very criticized about his veracity.
Oh wow,
So it's been very difficult because it's one of those things that I don't even think the government acknowledges that they did.
I'm sure they wouldn't.
So very little information about the Montauk experiments. Yeah.
Granted, with that being
Yeah.
said, we will have very little more to say about
Right.
it. So yeah, so they had their discussion with Victor Krill. I really enjoyed the scene of finding out that Max had written letters for everybody as they're
Mhm.
discovering and getting this information from Victor, which also I enjoyed Robin's theatrical tirade against the what would he be?
The
He wouldn't be a warden,
director or
the director.
whatever,
Thank you.
warden. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. There's something to be said about knowing you're in a time and a frame where you know what's being going on. You know that there's special privileges and things being given to others. And when you're being shameless and you just speak on it, a lot of the times the outcome is you kind of call people on their shit and you might just come up, but you gotta be willing. You gotta
Mm.
be willing to call a skunk a skunk and not a cat. And
Mhm.
I thought that was very brilliant the way they put that in there because how else were they gonna get in? And at what other point were you gonna get a strong moment like that from Robin, other than her
Mm.
going off on Steve telling him about himself?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was fine. That's all good.
Yeah. But I thought she was gonna get kicked out, but I still thought it was a good. I didn't think it was gonna work, but I still thought it was a good scene.
Mhm. Yeah.
Make that clear.
Um, yeah, but all of that is to really just confirm that that Vecna is something that might be going on and where they have to go next, which is I keep fucking forgetting his Victor Crease.
Krill.
Krill. Yeah, Victor Krill's house.
Yeah.
Um, and but obviously the biggest piece of information is that the music is what will
Yes.
help bring you out of the illusion, which is exactly what they needed because Max has that
Just
very
having a run in
dramatic,
with Vecna.
yes, has the very dramatic run in with Vecna where they put the song on and she was able to see like a little opening out of the illusion, and thankfully ran out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so
Um,
now we know a little bit of how to keep him at
keep him
bay.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. What I also thought was crazy about that was the timing for Vecna. It's like he knew because she was having that moment of reading her letter to Billy. Excellent letter to Billy. Um, a dear Billy letter. But I thought there was no better time for him to choose to jump into her mind other than her being vulnerable in this moment of opening up, crying about Billy.
Bro,
And
it was way more fucked up when she did it. He did it as her mom.
I thought that was just unnecessary. Like, bro,
Yeah,
why?
right.
Like for what, dude? But that again, I think that continues to paint the picture. So, of course, by the time we get to the end, there's a little more information about Vecna. But I think when we pay attention to all of those kind of instances, just how sinister and mean spirited a lot of it is, as Victor says, even torturing his daughter with the nightmares, whatever
Mhm.
this demon was. Um, it shows a sense of that deranged, murderous spirit that you hear about when they say, if you want to, you pay attention to things like kids who murder animals and things like, or kill animals and things like that.
Mhm.
And I think you have a child, um, or excuse me, you have a situation around Victor where he never thought to look at his children. He never thought, are my kids possessed? Are they doing something crazy? Like, what's going on around here? Like, why are these things happening? Until his family was no more, and now he's trying to figure out, what did I do? What did I do? Um, and I think that was a great way to just introduce the way everything is playing out, the setup behind how Victor in 1959, how this originally happened. And then of course we jump forward to what was that, 1979. 1970, that's 2 pages back. That's 3 pages. Yes, 1979. Where we're at currently. Well, excuse me. Um,
No,
sorry,
we're
from
at 86.
59,
Yeah.
where we jump forward to
All right.
79,
Anyways,
where we see
anyways,
that
let's
very
keep
first
going.
scene. Sorry. Then we get to 86, where we're currently at. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think it's pivotal though when you do put it into order and you realize like what all has been happening, and you're like, yo, this Vecna dude is really just pure evil.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure I wanted to believe that earlier in the season. I thought it was just a misunderstood type of a situation. But by the time we meet Victor, we hear his story of how his family was killed. There's no doubt that this is a pure evil. And it just has to be eradicated. I'm not sure how or why, but we'll get there.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, the song again, I don't think we named it. Was running that saved Max is running up that hill. Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, which, as Nick was saying, is not an old song. So maybe the next episode we'll have to do a little more Kate Bush research and figure that one out.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm thinking once we get through that, they have, I want to say that's around episode 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's around episode 5. So Elle is now really in her simulation, and again, everybody's gone to Victor Krill's house. The simulation for Elle, as Nick stated, is her memories. These memories are incremental days. It's not just these big, broad memories. It's literally broken down into days and specific memories, um, that are to help her to help trigger her response to rebuilding her powers. I guess. How would you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, like it was, she's reliving her childhood and her, like reliving the same things that helped create her powers in the first place. So
Okay.
she's doing all of the trainings that she used to do as a kid, just reliving those memories so that she could re-trigger her powers again.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
I think that that's probably the movie science behind it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. But like the whole scenes are very much about like these kids that are being trained to be remote assassins.
Right.
Basically, is the end goal. You want to get these kids to be able to kill people from afar.
Right.
Um, and Elle is kind of the weakling in the group
As they
until,
say.
as they say, until the end. Yeah. But this is where she sort of like has to go through all of this, and it's sort of like she's trapped in these memories, and she's got to
Mhm.
relive them in order to escape them, and all of that stuff. And you meet the orderlies, and what's his name? They don't give him a name; they just tell him
Orderly.
he's just the orderly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Orderly.
Which right off the jump, I thought he looked creepy, and I was like, this guy's creepy.
He reminded me. He looks like he could have legitimately played it.
Yeah, he's a very creepy looking dude. But
Great,
yeah,
great
yeah,
cast.
good casting for sure, for sure. But yeah, so I mean, Elle is learning about her powers again. You have the orderly who's kind of like
Giving her tips and tricks.
giving her tips, trying to take her under his wing because she's the weakling and everybody kind of picks on her, and she's getting into these fights with Two because Two is the most powerful. and for some reason, what's his name? The doctor is allowing Dr. Brenner's allowing to bully Elle. And I'm like, I don't get that very much. I don't think that
He has
was
a very
true.
sadistic fathering style.
Maybe. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, we can't really tie that to the final reveal until we get to that in the Hawking stuff. So we should probably,
let's get through Hawkins.
yeah.
So let's think. The order. Oh, let's really.
So they're looking through. They're at the house, and Vecna is trying to take what's his name,
Patrick.
Yeah.
So when they're at the house, when he kills Patrick, in fact,
Yes.
Jason and Eddie both see Patrick fly into the air and get killed. Jason believes that Eddie has the powers of the devil.
Yeah. Stupid.
I don't even know how to make that make sense, but you know what? I was negative 2 years old in 1986, so I'm not really sure what the thinking was.
Dude, you saw him fly. Like, he was literally floating 15 feet in the air. How do you think that's anything but some supernatural stuff?
Well, he does believe it's supernatural, but he believes
Eddie
thinks
dumbass Eddie is the one.
Eddie is a vessel for the devil.
Vessel for the
devil.
Sir,
you're probably a vessel for the devil.
Yeah.
I would guarantee the devil would prefer you over Eddie. Just saying. But so yeah, we see that Vecna kills him, and the police get there. The military is continuously torturing the agent that got shot, didn't die, and was left behind in California by the California group.
Yeah.
I also want to say, if I am a secret agent
Elle got arrested.
of any sort, when Elle got arrested. Okay, you silly. Yes, we mentioned it this time.
Yeah.
The agent is being tortured now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, why didn't they make sure he was dead?
Well, they want to get the information of where the base is.
I know what the military wants. I mean, before they shook the house, like, hey, put another one in him, make sure something. I don't know, but if you're gonna leave the body behind, make sure he's dead.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, they were also running away from people shooting at them, so I don't think they were thinking about.
I am watching from this side of the screen. You're right. There were no bullets flying at me.
No.
But I was definitely thinking, like, yo, my man's is getting tortured. I believe that's called a heat box or a sun box. Slave torture tactics.
Yeah, in a heat box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's the name of it, a heat box. But my wife and I both distinctly remember learning about certain things, and that was one of the slave days torture tactics. And honestly, I'll have to paint that picture for those who don't see it. The visual there is a black man putting another black man into or what we view as a slave torture device for the military to get information. If you don't understand what's wrong with that scene and the fact that it was intentionally done to give you that woe, then you are missing a lot more. You have to be missing more in this show if you didn't catch how blatantly that was, just to give you a sign of the times. And when you're trying to get things done, what you're not looking at is the appearance of it all. You're simply trying to get a job done. You know this device works. You know this is the route that has worked in the past. I'm not saying it's right, but I am saying that those in those positions, even though this is TV, I'm still going to say it that way. Those in those positions are going to do whatever is needed. But I did think that that was intentionally done. And for those who understood what they saw, it was like, yo. And for those who didn't understand what they saw, it was a little lighter for them, I'm sure. But still, they continue to torture the other agent, trying to get information about Elle. And we do see a glimpse of him seemingly giving up some information, but we're not sure what information he gives. Yeah. I'm hoping he sent them on a goose chase, but you don't know for sure. Because he's stupid enough, and I'm going to say it that way, to say, please just don't kill her.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah. Well, you got to get back on Hawkins, man. You keep going back to the California crew.
That's the California crew.
It is. That's that guy that got shot by the military was in California.
California crew got to die in my mind. All right, Hawkins. So
we're so close. We're so close. All right.
Yeah, we are. We're right here.
They're finding out that Vecna is kind of subtly interacting with the real world through the Upside Down.
Right. There we go.
Yeah, and I think that that's what gives them the idea that he might be creating um
Well,
openings, right?
they were trying to figure out how he was reacting with the our side from the
Mm,
upside down. Clearly, they believe he's in the upside down. They actually believe he's a spawn of the upside down, which they don't know that yet.
right.
Um, but what wait, what was your question?
Oh no, I'm just saying like they get to the point where they realize that he's opening portals or he's
Right.
opening doors.
So when they're going and they're looking, they've started thinking of that. Before they started thinking of that, they were trying to figure out how he was getting in. And when they went looking for Eddie, the compass started messing up, and that's when
Hmm.
they got the idea. Oh wait, maybe he's opening gates. Maybe there's another gate somewhere. Where is it? Now
Right.
we had already seen the tentacle in the lake, um, and I think that's why as an audience, it probably wasn't as like, oh my God, there's one in the lake, because they had already kind of given us that by having the fish get snatched after
Hmm.
Patrick's death. And so I believe that's more so where that is. It's like once they find out the compass, now they're following and they find the gate. But before that, there was no thoughts of if he's opening new gates. But of course, especially with Dustin's a super genius. And now you have Eddie, who is very well versed in the fantasy world, and all he has to do is think about it in that realm, and boom, he's right there as well. I think
Hmm.
that's more so the route,
Yeah.
not so much that they just kind of stumbled up on it, but it was more timing. Like this had to happen, like the compass thing had to happen for it to make sense as to how they discovered it.
Yeah, no, I know. I just didn't remember what it was about that they
Oh, okay.
that they came about the understanding that there were gates being opened. But
Right.
yes, then that leads them to the lake. Where there is a gate, which I feel like, man, y'all should have thought of the gate at Eddie's place first.
Yeah, I understand why that was the first gate, but it is what it is.
Right. I guess it's a safer gate to exit out of than to, like that than the
Storyline
lake, right?
contingency
Yeah, yeah.
or
Uh,
continuity, not continuity,
yeah.
continuity.
You wouldn't want to try to jump back into the real world and have it be underwater. So,
Yeah, that's not gonna work well. So I thought it was very interesting that Steve can hold his breath that long. Um then okay, you found the gate, Steve. Swim back to the top. Why are you touching the gate, Steve?
yeah,
Why are you
I know.
oh, yep, it's
Yeah.
coming for you, Steve. You can't see that, Steve. It's oh, Steve.
Yeah. Well, you got to go into the upside down once in a while.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yep.
So yeah, they go to the gate. Steve is snatched. Nancy goes chasing after him. Robin does her Navy SEAL dive and goes in after her. And Eddie refuses to be left out when the girls definitely just dove in to go and see where you went into the deep dark water.
Hmm.
I thought that was very goofy of all of them, but for story purposes, I was glad they all did it, or else I was going to be very confused.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that lake's only like 20 feet deep because how deep are they going, man?
I mean, hopefully it's probably not even 20. It's probably like Olympic swim pool size. Wink, wink,
Maybe.
nudge, nudge.
Hmm.
Uh, they, AKA, they just dove in and got right back out. The dress
Yeah.
was, done CG. And I enjoyed all of the scenes of all of them being on the other side. The Hawkins group, by all means, they have mastered the upside down. They have mastered Hawkins. Only
Hmm.
thing they have to master now is burgers. That's it.
Hmm.
Once they get burgers down, I mean, they can open a restaurant.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the upside down stuff too. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked how they communicated with Dustin on the other side, and they
That
were
was
like,
awesome.
they got kind of stuck there, and having to fight, having Steve almost die from those, bat
Yes.
things, and
Yeah.
yeah, some crazy stuff. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, and really all of that is to serve the fact that Nancy gets stuck, you know.
Yeah, as they find the other portal so that they can kind of flip and get out of there, they go
Yeah.
and they are climbing out, and then they fall into the real world again. And Nance never makes it because she falls into a trance.
Yep.
And so now you have Nancy in a trance, still in the upside down, as well as you have Steve still leaking from bat bites.
Yeah,
Not
still
sure how that's
bleeding
gonna play
very
out.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, not sure how that's gonna play. I'm pretty sure he can't lift himself to get up that rope.
I don't know. Right. Exactly. Maybe they could pull him. Maybe if like
Maybe.
he held onto the rope and they pulled, maybe he would be pulled through.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Maybe.
But either
Hopefully
way,
we'll find out.
he's not leaving until Nance is out of that
Oh,
trance.
for sure.
Somebody better throw some music up there.
Right. That's what I'm thinking they're gonna do is they're probably gonna throw Max's headphones through, which is gonna put Max in jeopardy because they only have one headphone set.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
Everybody should be wearing headphones at
In the
this
80s,
point.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So they had the town meeting in Hawkins, and all of the parents are now aware that because of Jason rallying the town, now you have a bunch of vigilante running around with guns, and the Hellfire Club is the target. The Hellfire Club insists of course, the Hawkins, the California crew, and you know what, Nina Group as well, because Elle would be part of them. But for sure, Dustin and Lucas they're looking for right now. And what Dustin, Lucas, and Will? No, Dustin, Lucas, and Mike. But Mike is out of town, so yeah.
Yeah, they're just looking for everybody.
But yeah, they're looking for all of them.
Yeah.
And now their parents are running around looking for them, which I thought that was really cool. Seeing their parents get together after the police did all their little investigating and stuff. But as we know, the police won't be the ones to solve this problem, and neither will the government.
No.
It will be the kids. Word to the Scooby Doo mysteries.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it leaves us with a pretty big cliffhanger for the Hawkins people in that Nancy again is under that trance. Steve is very badly wounded. They still don't really understand how they're going to fight Vecna. They know that they can they understand him more, but you know, like we haven't seen his full power yet.
No, not at all.
And
not at all. 30 years to harvest that kind of power. Oh man,
it's gonna be concerning. And we see how Elle ties into this story now through the Nina sort of portion of the story in which she is working through her memories and befriending that orderly who seems to taking a liking to her and pitying her, even though she's not very strong. She does fight too at one point and knock him out, but that only seems to piss him off and then get her beat up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, I was very curious as to why it was that the orderly was getting disciplined for helping 11. And my question to that was whether it was because he was, you know, they're supposed to do it on their own, or because it's information that you weren't supposed to be giving up. Like these are things. Well, like I said, yeah.
I kind of think I think Dr. Brenner was expecting to have Elle be like a casualty of the training. Like I think he was like, all right, well, she can be killed. I'll have, you know, two, sharpen his, give him some practice to go kill somebody. Yeah. And like maybe 11 was going to be that person because she was weak anyways. And, and she, and even the orderly says like, he can't control you. He's afraid of you because she's not really weak. She just doesn't have control over her power and she has a lot of it. So
a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So, that's when the orderly tells Elle that basically Brenner is plotting to have her killed because once 2 gets out of the infirmary, he's going to have his little gang come kill you, and Dr. Brenner is going to allow it. And this kind of convinces Elle that she needs to leave with the orderly.
Yeah, I like how he gives her his his card, excuse me. And then he leads her down the escape path, and then she doesn't want to escape. Yeah, that is one of those hero tropes that always happens. It's always it's in all of those like, oh, you could get away. Like the weak person becomes the hero. It's like, oh, you could get away if you want to. Just go that way, and we'll take care of the rest. And it's like, no, I'm gonna stay. And then they're Batman. I enjoy that. I enjoyed that a lot. However. What I thought was crazy about the orderly was we go through all of these things, learning about the orderly, finding out that there's a chip installed in the orderly's neck.
Once I saw there was a chip, I was like, oh, he's one.
Yep.
He's
Yeah,
one.
he had
Yeah,
already said way too much. Right, now that we're
way
at
too
that point.
much.
He
Yeah.
had already said way too much to 11 about one, telling her about one and one's way to tap into the powers. I spent a lot of time with him right here in this room, and I was
Hmm.
like, either 11's a clone of one or you're one of the two.
Right. Yeah.
And then we discover, and I'll say that now, we discover everyone's a clone of one.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's the precursor or the template that Brenner
Mhm.
uses to create this program. Yeah.
Still the big mystery of power source as well.
Right. Yeah. He
Who's gonna
doesn't really even know. The only thing that we know is that he was a sensitive boy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
weren't we all when we got our asses beat?
Right, right. But we
You're
find
supposed
out that the orderly is because 11 helps remove the chip, and as
chip,
soon
yeah.
as there was a chip in his neck, I'm like, don't do it, don't do
Don't
it.
you
He
do
is
it.
about
So
to go ham on this place.
a chip called Soteria.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I don't even know what that means, but that sounds sinister.
It sounds like a heavy sedative. Like,
That is
keeping his
actually, yeah.
power. He's got power dampeners on him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He had power dampeners.
Yeah. So, of course, with the chip removed, now he has his full powers back, and
Right.
he's
I,
quite
I
an issue.
right. I did want to add that Soteria is the goddess of safety.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
as well as something else I noticed. Yes, he did all of those things. He went absolutely crazy. Even gets back to scene that very first scene we saw. But before we get to that very first scene and how it ties into this, something I noticed with Dr. Brenner and his naming of things. So you have Soteria is named after a Greek goddess. You have Project Nina was named after the love interest in a stage play.
Mm,
Um, there's something about his level of intellect that is different. And I think we might either get that in the second part of this season or something of that in the next season. Um,
maybe
but yeah, um, as we get back to I was going to call him the Mind Flayer, to Vecna.
Vecna.
So Nancy sees Krill. So Nancy saw everything that the orderly, or excuse me, at this point, we know he is one. We also know that at this point, he starts to tell 11
Nancy.
about, and Nancy,
Well,
yes.
at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, 11 and Nancy about who he is. And his father is Victor Creel. So he is Victor Creel's son, which means he is
Hmm.
Henry Creel. Um, and we discover that Henry Creel was not just an emotional kid. He tortured animals. He had somehow discovered he had this ability to get inside of minds. He had taught himself to go inside of a trance and basically astral project himself. We're not
And he
sure.
realized that he could create like illusions in people's
Correct.
brains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he realized he could get inside of people's brains and create realities and illusions, get inside their memories. We're not exactly sure where all of this that started. That is not revealed in any of this. However, Henry Creel is in fact number one, who is the orderly, who is Vecna. That
Hmm.
is proven time and time again in the last, I'd say, 20 minutes of this series. You cannot question it.
It's a very satisfying reveal, in my opinion.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And it is very true what is said through this entire season. He is pure evil.
Hmm.
No question. I also thought the I guess we'll say it's CG or makeup, I guess, but the skin on Victor Krill, or excuse me, on Henry Krill on Vecna, man,
Yeah.
just
Very Freddy Krueger-esque as well, a little
very,
bit. Yeah.
very, which leads me to think, what if, and I know we're not really at that point of the episode yet, but what if the Duffer brothers had the contract for the next Freddy Krueger, and what if the guy who plays the orderly and who plays Henry or Vecna, what if he is the next Freddy Krueger?
That'd be kind of a cool way to tie in your franchises. Yeah.
Really dope. And
Hmm.
like, and what if this is their way of starting a universe? Oh,
That'd be cool. I'd be
call me in
down for
20
that.
years. Right. Call me in 20 years. Tell me where they at.
Hmm.
Sorry. That was a rabbit hole that I kind of built on my own, but it makes sense. Considering a couple of things in this movie, Robert Englund being one of them. Uh so We go back to again the orderly. We realize that the orderly is number one. He's told everything to 11, and 11 is not a happy camper.
Mhm.
11 was told to stay in after she helped him out. 11 was told to stay in the storage room. And also, let's note that now we are very aware that Victor Krill is not aware that his son was still alive, and which means for whatever reason, Henry was already familiar, according to what he said, with Dr. Brenner. We don't know why.
Yeah, because his mother was convinced that he was crazy, and she talked to a doctor. And the doctors
That was
came and visited one day, and that's why he decided he had to kill his mother because he didn't want to be sent away. And they found
oh,
out that the doctor was Dr. Brenner. Yeah.
okay. I know. Okay, that's the story that he's telling the girls. Okay, I
Yes.
didn't really
Yeah.
put that together. I did not put that together. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was a very small detail, like in the story that, yeah, like if you didn't, yeah, it was very casually
Very
said.
subtle.
So
Yeah,
very subtle. Yeah.
got it. So yeah, again, he's getting through all of this, and what we see is also his connection with spiders was very intimate, and I liked it because he still has a child's brain to a level.
hmm And
Uh,
he's kind of like a spider himself,
yes,
weaving webs, and yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot of that sort of imagery, spider
right,
imagery.
yeah. It was a great tie-in. I loved it. Um, what we see is we see that 11 is inside, and at the beginning, again, the very first scene, what we saw was number 10 telling Dr. Brenner what another doctor, I think Dr. Reed, I can't remember the name right now, and number 6 was doing. And eventually he tells, oh, it's bad. They're both dead. Why they're all screaming? Why is everybody screaming? And we discover that the reason all of that is happening is Henry has lost it. Number one
hmm
is literally killing everybody in the facility. And I'm assuming the reason he told 11 to stay in that storage room is because he kills indiscriminately. If he sees you, he's killing you.
Probably.
And
Yeah.
he knows he slips into the dark side, and he doesn't really have a filter, so he had to keep her somewhere because he wanted to keep her alive, keep her somewhere that wouldn't put her in his path of destruction. Needless to say, she does not stick to that, and she definitely comes out, and he's like, I told you to stay. But once they go through everything, they have their war, their showdown, and that is when we see 11. Turns out the military is right. 11 does open the first gate. She starts
hmm
everything by thinking she's killing Henry. She thought she killed Henry. What she really did is she sent him into the upside down, spiraling out of control. And he gets struck by lightning a few times in the upside down. What we don't see is how does he survive and how does he become who he is? That we
Right.
don't see.
Right.
We,
Which
we
I hope
see the,
we get more of,
I
because
pray we get more of.
yeah, because it does make a whole lot of sense right now. So is the mind flayer already in the upside down? Where does the mind flayer come from? Because apparently, again, like they said, unless Destin's wrong,
Mhm.
Vecna is not the ultimate baddie of the upside down. So
Right.
it's like, what are you doing, and how are you competing against the mind flayer? And like, why would the mind flayer just take you over too?
Right.
You
And
know?
and for the record, Destin has yet to be wrong. So I'm just waiting
Yeah.
for that other shoe to
Right.
drop.
Right, right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm not fully convinced that Vecna isn't the ultimate power in the upside down. He has to be.
I would assume he has to be. And if he's not, it definitely has to be larger than the mind flayer. Or we just simply weren't giving all of the
Or
information on the
he
mind
is the
flayer,
mind
which is
flayer,
ooh,
which I would be fine
that
with,
makes more
because
sense.
it's like it makes more sense that it's just a manifestation of his psychic energy as well.
Hmm.
Like, because it just doesn't make any sense that Vecna wouldn't be the most evil. Like
Considering what he's capable of.
he's the most dangerous out of everything in the upside down we've seen so far. You know,
Yeah. Considering what he's capable of, I fully agree with that. I couldn't understand why or how anyone else would be the big bad.
right? Yeah. But that's kind of where we're left with this at this point right now, is that we now know where Vecna's origins are. Nance is still trapped in a trance. She's in a Nance trance.
Nance
Uh,
Trance.
she's in the Nance trance. Steve is nearly dead, and the kids at Hawkins are trying to get them out of the hole.
Hmm.
The California group is on their way, presumably to Nevada, to go
Nevada.
to the
Yeah.
silo, even though they probably just should go to Hawkins anyways,
That's
because
where Elle's going to end up anyway.
Elle's going to end up there anyway, so you might as well just go to Hawkins. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to the next 2 episodes, man. It's going to be a hell of a thing to wrap up. You know, Hopper is maybe out of the gulag. We'll see.
Right. I'm assuming he is for sure out of the gulag. To what extent, again, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you didn't kill the warden, but I don't know.
We'll
Americans.
See. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. July 1st, right?
July 1st. And I'm
July 1st,
I'm starting to think maybe they'll give us more than episodes 8 and 9. They might tack like 2 more on and not really.
Or they might be an hour and a half each or something like that.
I know they're hour and a half each. No, they're probably about 2 hour, about almost 2, like 1 hour 40, 145. The last episode was 140.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure it'll be lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I can personally say I cannot wait to watch the next 2 episodes. I'm upset that they gave us so much and didn't just give us the last 2. At the same time, I'm not, because I don't have to wait as long and I actually have a date, which Netflix doesn't always give you a date when something is coming out.
Yeah.
So overall, I'm excited. I enjoyed this. If I had to recap this and not say anything that I've already said, I'm sure I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We will withhold our ratings for now, but we will rate this once we get to see the final 2 episodes. But I'm feeling very good about this season, and I'm very happy that they've dialed everything up, and they've kind of eliminated the things that didn't work in season 3 and started to work on the things that definitely worked in season 1. And I feel like they did a good job at that, of like bringing out the best of what this story could be. And yeah, so far it's my favorite season. So we'll see how they land this. Hopefully not like Joyce and Murray.
Oh, I hope they stick the landing and don't lose the landing gear. Agreed.
Right.
With that being said, for those again who have not seen, or maybe you've seen it already and you want to watch it again, there are plenty of things that we did not touch on, did not cover. We do want to still leave some levels of entertainment for you in everything that we cover. By all means, go and check out Stranger Things season 4, part 1, and then come right back on over here. Check this episode out, because we gave you plenty to touch bases on and to agree or disagree with. With that being said, welcome and thank you. We appreciate you for coming to the Screen Time Continuum. Please head on over to Facebook, head on over to YouTube. Also, have your Twitch ready, because we're going to give you a couple of shows that I need you to take down. You're going to hit those like and subscribes, and we'll make sure you have content for the majority of your week. We'll give you 2 days off, give you a little bit of a breather. You ready? All right, I gave you some time to write this stuff down. Here we go. So you have the Exo Fathom that comes on Fridays at 8 p.m. That's hosted by Mike, Nick, and Ayla. Check that out. On Saturdays, you're going to have This Married Moment that comes on sometime between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. If it comes on at 2, you know what? We just felt like that was a better time for you. This Married Moment is hosted by myself and my wife, Bobby. Then you could come right back over here to Screen Time Continuum. On Sundays, we'll be here for you at 8:30 p.m. Over on Tuesdays, If Numbers Could Talk is here for you. I host that 8:30 p.m. On Wednesdays, again, right back here, Screen Time Continuum, just like today, 8:30 p.m. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're going to head on over to Twitch and check out Dejan on Strawberries and Coffee. On Strawberries and Coffee, he has a ton of different vault games for you and just great content, commentary, sometimes silent gameplay. It's all about what you're interested in. Head on over to YouTube also, and Strawberries and Coffee will definitely have an archive for you to check out. With that being said, we appreciate you for sticking around with us through every episode that you're here for. We know you won't watch every single episode, but for those of you who are here for any episode you like, we appreciate you. Tune right back in here to Screen Time Continuum. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
And I am Nick.
We appreciate you guys. Have a great one.